So welcome to this week's episode of Crap No One Tells You. With me today is Kristine Graham from Keyrenter's Property Management. But she's not going to talk to us today about property management at all.
No, I am not. Tell me, what are we going to talk about today?
In fact, we're going to talk about what it takes to become a professional streamer, right? Or game streamer.
I guess that's what we're going to talk about, though I mostly can tell you what it takes to fail at trying to become a professional gamer and streamer.
So let me start by asking the question.
Sure.
What is some crap no one tells you about becoming a Twitch streamer or a game streamer?
Some crap nobody tells you. Well, first of all, it's going to take a heck of a long time to build up an audience. Getting from 0 viewers to something like 10 or 12 is really easy because there's a whole bunch of people out there who like to be the only one watching, who they really like to engage in a conversation. But getting from 12 to 25, it's a long slog. And at that point, you're not even going to be making any money doing it. So
I was going to say what becomes a sustainable income as far as viewer levels go?
I was never able to get there. So I streamed on Twitch, and Twitch, the payout, sometimes these things change. But when I was doing it, the payouts were about half of what the subscriptions cost. So I got about $2.50 per sub. So that'll tell you that, if I had 10 subs, I was making $25 a month. So that is not enough to pay for your equipment.
So if it was the same 10 people always logging in to view, you were basically making $25.
That is correct. So there were a number. I tried to stream professionally and do gaming professionally for something on the order of 18 months. And, when I finally got my first Twitch check, they won't cut you a check until it's like $100 in your account. So you do eventually get one. Takes a long time, but I don't even think I ever got above $35 a month. It was very, very hard to turn my daily streaming habit into something that was sustainable with an audience. So one of the things that you think going into it is it's so easy. The barrier to entry to stream on Twitch, or I think on YouTube, is pretty low. You get a little bit of equipment, you get your game set up, you play, you get viewers who come in and watch you chit chat with your viewers while you're playing. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Which is the enticing part.
It's really, really easy to get it set up. But in order to monetize it, in order to make this be the thing that's going to pay your bills, you need to get a lot of viewers and a lot of paying viewers. And you probably aren't going to do that only by streaming on a platform like Twitch or YouTube. You probably also are going to have to create a community. And
So it's basically very similar to when you're building social media marketing, for example, is that you don't do it by simply doing one thing. You do it by doing a combination of things, building the community, communicating with people, more visibility, all of those things.
All of those things. So in order to be successful, you probably are doing your main streaming. You're probably making little video shorts or video clips. Sometimes those can be pieces of the stream, but sometimes they're going to be chunks of gaming that you've done offline or tutorials, something like that. You're probably putting content out there on either Twitch or Instagram, depending what the game is. And you are probably fostering your community on Discord as well.
So it really becomes like it's like running a business.
It's like running
really no different.
It's like running a business with no revenue.
Yes,
To be honest.
that could make it a little challenging. So so I know in a lot of industries, the success rate of actually accomplishing anything it's lower than people realize. The average business startup, 80% fail in the first 2 years, 90% in the first 5 years. Affiliate marketing, something like 1% of all affiliate marketers are able to sustain a living doing their affiliate marketing. It's like 0.1% of social media creators can do the same or like generate any type of real revenue. Do you have any idea what the numbers are for?
I do not, but I can tell you that if you were to go on to, I streamed mostly on Twitch. If you go onto Twitch on any given time, search on a game, you will, if it's a popular game, you will find literally hundreds of streamers at any given time out there streaming. And there will be a few that have a decent following, and there will be a whole lot of them that have 0 to maybe 20 viewers at any given time. The 0 to 20s are not making any money.
Right.
It's nothing. And that's not really a business. It's a way to play maybe with your friends. It's a way to
Okay.
make friends while gaming. But the hurdle to get to the point where it's like a sustainable income generator for you, even as a side gig, is going to take a lot of time and a lot of commitment and a lot of planning and preparation for your streams. It takes, so when you're streaming, you'll start out, you turn your thing on, you get your stream fired up, and everybody who follows you will get an alert saying, hey, this person's streaming.
Right.
Now, if they're not doing anything and they really like you, they're going to hop on and they're going to start talking to you. So within a couple of minutes, some of your regulars will show up. 3, 4, 5 people are going to come in and talk to you, chat with you in the chat. But the longer you stream, the more people will tend to be added to the stream.
Right.
So there gets to be this this point where if you're going to stream for less than 3 hours, it's almost not worth it.
Oh,
You
wow.
need to be.
That's like a part-time job. That's not like a.
It is, because if you're only going to stream for an hour, you won't have hit a max viewer number yet within that hour. So
Okay.
in 2 hours, it's still going to be kind of difficult. But 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, you're going to start to get more viewers that'll show up.
So there's actually a time to viewer ratio before they start paying out, or just before?
No, just before you get them to come.
Oh,
To
okay.
before they come and they maybe hit that follow button.
Okay.
You know what you want is that, like, you ideally want them to hit that follow button so that they get the alert, and if they like your content, they'll come back next time.
Right.
But it's going to be a while before they show up. So on any given day, you start with 0. Every single time you start with 0, and you wonder, am I going to have anybody watching me today?
So this is not like social media, because you can record a TikTok or an Instagram, whatever, you put it out there and it just sits out there indefinitely, right? This, like, if you aren't streaming, there really isn't any revenue being generated or no attention being given. Is that correct?
That is correct on Twitch, because the only way you get revenue on Twitch was by getting subscribers, and it's a monthly subscription. So in theory, you could stop streaming for a month and you'd still get that income because they've got a subscription. But a lot of people will cancel those, or they'll switch them every month or something. So you can't really just stop and expect to continue to get income. Now, both Twitch and YouTube do allow you to, like, post the video of your past streams. So somebody could go back and watch that later. Now, on Twitch, there was no way to monetize that.
Okay.
I think on YouTube, I'm less familiar with their monetization schemes.
I'm guessing you need to qualify for their AdSense
Right.
to run ads during in order to be able to monetize it.
But once you qualify for that, if somebody watches your video after the fact,
Right. So
you
you're
might get some revenue.
you're
on
basically
that.
getting ad revenue, not
Right.
revenue for actually streaming.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I've got to ask,
Yes.
like, at what point did you go, I think it would be a good idea to become a gamer
Okay.
and start?
Hey. Well, okay. How do you get there? I'm like a 52-year-old woman.
How do you get to that? It's a great idea. Like it is.
Well, it was never a great idea. I'll tell you that what made me start was I'm a gamer. I'm a 52-year-old female gamer, which is not the normal targeted demographic for gaming.
Correct.
And I had left a corporate job, wasn't quite sure what I was going to do instead, and said to myself, you know what? I really like gaming. And maybe because I'm an off demographic gamer, maybe there's a way for me to participate in a unique way or connect different communities of gamers together that would make an opportunity, like a professional opportunity. So I started streaming not because I wanted to stream, not because I wanted to be like an on-air personality. I started streaming because I needed to meet other people who were into gaming and start to figure out how were they connecting with games. And is there an opportunity to do something professionally in gaming for me?
So the goal was not necessarily that you wanted to become a professional gamer per se. You started with a different intention and then realized it could possibly be a revenue opportunity.
Yeah, so my main game is and was Clash of Clans, which is a mobile game. And I had participated in a few of their tournaments, the official tournaments, and I actually got paid a couple of times for my performance. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could be a pro gamer. I have a check here from ESL for $50.
Look at that.
And so you start thinking, well, maybe there is something here. There are pro gamers. Why can't I be one? And so I started it, but this is one of the main things that I think I eventually concluded is that the people who are really successful streaming their games and turning that into a professional endeavor spend more time or as much time thinking about their community and how to build it and how to be an on-air persona as they do about the game itself. And I really never wanted to be a public person. I didn't want to be famous.
You didn't want to be PewDiePie.
I did not. That was really not my goal.
It's the only professional gamer name that I know.
So as I got into it, I saw what they were doing. I was like, yeah, that's not for me. Yeah, that's not for me. That kind of content was not really what I wanted to do. So
Right.
I kind of it didn't take me very long to realize that to be really successfully at streaming and at kind of the pro gaming model of that, you needed to invest a lot into community building and becoming a professional, like a public persona.
Well,
That's not what I wanted.
I read something a while ago that now finally makes sense to me because you explained the missing portion is I read somewhere that the average professional gamer, meaning if you want to be able to stream for a living, needs 2,500 dedicated subscribers.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And now that you're running some numbers by, I can see that because you'd be making 50, 60 grand a year off your base.
Yep.
And then possibly if you're getting ad revenue, if you're getting other things, but getting 2,500 people to consistently follow you month after month, watching you play a game, if you don't have a personality, if you aren't nurturing your audience, has got to be difficult. I mean, I would say almost impossible.
It is impossible. You need to I think you need to develop what is that on-air personality? What is that persona that I want to portray? And almost to the point of becoming a caricature of it.
Right.
And so to some extent I am like inherently authentic is one of I'm just an authentic, I try to be authentic in the
Right.
things that I do. But in order to be successful at streaming, you almost needed to turn that into some sort of a caricature. That made me a little bit uncomfortable because it ends up being an act. You decide what skin am I going to put on while I'm streaming? What characteristics does my streaming personality have?
Right.
And then I'm going to act like that every single day. The other thing that I could bring up here about this is even if you have that, it can get really, really tiresome to do the same thing over and over and over because this is what your audience expects from you.
Right.
They expect that you're going to react in a certain way when they give you a compliment, or you're going to react in a different way when they say something negative. And you almost need to just keep doing that because that's what they expect. That's what they want, and that's part of your persona. But it can get really it can get really difficult to keep doing that.
And it's got to be, I mean, even if people are following you, the question always becomes, are they following you because they like the game you're playing along with your character? Or do they like you regardless of what game you're playing? So that's another toss-up that, I mean, every gamer's got to take that into their monetary equation.
I would say that is really important. One of the things that I noticed is, like, my main game was Clash of Clans. I built a whole bunch of viewership on Clash of Clans. But when Call of Duty Mobile came out, I was on there with Call of Duty Mobile, and my viewership numbers would spike whenever I was playing it. Now, that wasn't my main audience, so my subscribers would all leave because now I'm playing Call of Duty and that's not their game. The same thing, I was playing Teamfight Tactics, which is a part of the League of Legends IP. And when I played that online, my normal viewers would be in the chat telling me how bad this was and don't stop or don't play that. This is boring, So it's a little like the game and the community kind of go together, and so then that's really important, because if your game is on the rise, if there's a lot of viewers for the game, then it's easier to develop an audience. There's just more people out there trying to consume that. So Clash of Clans, it's a 10-year-old game. There's not that many new players for that right now.
Right.
And the viewership numbers on it just kind of keep dropping. But go out there and find a new game and you'll find a whole new bunch of gamers. So
this is no different than figuring it out for any business. Is you got to take a combination of what's hot, what's working, develop the community. Like it is a mini business that you truly have to develop if you're going to be successful at it.
I think so. And I think there's also always this danger in any business that something happens to your market and you're kind of been focusing on the wrong thing and it changes. The same thing's going to happen in gaming, but it's going to happen because the game that you chose is eventually going to not be as popular.
Correct. They all have a lifetime, like a life cycle, right? They have the early adopters, they have the mass adoption, they have the super crazy fans, and then it starts fading off on the tail end of it.
Exactly. And so going into it that you're going to have to deal with that. And if you're kind of building a lifestyle based on this, you've constantly got to be planning, how do I transition my audience into this, or when do I start doing something else in order to have it be able to fill in the gap when the current game I'm playing starts to fall off.
It's fascinating. So what do you need? Let's say today I'm going to age myself. I'm going to become a professional Tetris streamer.
Professional Tetris streamer.
Yes,
okay.
Because Tetris is like the best game ever made.
Is it the best new game ever made?
No. It's just the best old game. It's just the best game in general.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to start tomorrow, what would I need to get started?
Well, you like equipment?
Yeah, equipment.
You're gonna need you've already got half of it here. You've got microphones and cameras. It's really hard to develop an audience if you won't put your face on camera.
Okay.
You can stream. Like, it's possible. It's technically possible to stream without putting your face on the camera. But it's really hard to build an audience. It's hard to connect with people if they can't see you.
Okay.
So you're gonna need a microphone, some kind of webcam. And then for me, I'm a mobile gamer, so I needed an iPad or a phone and a way to plug that into my computer along with the streaming software. If you are a PC gamer, then you've already got your PC.
So it's all set up.
If you're a console gamer, you also are going to have to figure out a way to get that thing plugged into a streaming device. Then you need to set up an account and you can start.
You're good to go.
Well, you can go. I'm not going to say you're good yet.
Okay.
Because there are
next day delivery on Amazon for your equipment, and then
pretty much
10 minutes to set up your account. And a little bit more than 10 minutes.
It'll take you longer to tweak your streaming software and stuff, but with a couple hours and somebody who's smart with technology, you can get it going. And then you could do your first stream. Now you're
talking like $100 investment to get started, $200?
Oh, well, see, I had to buy a streaming PC when I did it. So Mine was more like $2,000 to get started,
Okay.
but you might have some of these things already, so
Right.
I don't know. But it could be a couple $100 depending where your starting point is.
Okay.
So, but that will not give you all of the bells and whistles that your streaming audience are going to expect. They're going to expect that you have like backgrounds and transition, and they're going to expect that there's the little things that pop up and say thank you when you get a new follower or a new subscriber. They're going to expect graphics. They're going to expect that, like, when you're in the middle of streaming a 6-hour stream and you need to take a brief biology break, they're going to expect that there's going to be something happening on your screen while you're gone. And in order to do that, you're going to have some graphics. Now, whether you're able to create those yourself or whether you want to pay somebody off of Fiverr to do it is a choice. But you probably are going to need to do that to get some level of success. Otherwise, you look very amateurish on these platforms. So,
Interesting.
well,
It sounds like you are basically putting together a 2-hour, 3-hour, 5-hour TV show. Like
yes,
it's a live
it's a
feed
live feed show.
where there is a certain amount of entertainment expected outside of the actual game you're playing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, and I used to, before I would start streaming on any given day, I would decide, what are my topics? Like, I would have topics that I knew I was going to talk with my audience about pretty much every day. It'd be something that happened in the news. It would be something related to the game. It would be a new update that came out. Something. There was going to be it'd be a tweet that I read, but there would be a few items that I knew I was going to talk to my audience about. Because you can play your game and you can talk about what you're doing in your game.
But you're basically talking like a 3-hour monologue of.
Well, that's a little bit that's not quite true.
Okay.
So at least at the levels of viewers that I had, the viewers are expecting interaction.
Okay.
So they are going to get into your chat box and they're going to type things. And if you don't respond to them, they're going to leave. They want a conversation.
Right.
So you have things that you want, topics that you want to bring up, but you also need to be fluid enough to go wherever that conversation is going to take you with your viewers. Because they're going to ask you questions. What do you think about this thing that just happened in the game? I keep having this problem when I'm playing the game. What would you do? I heard this and such thing about that gaming pro. What do you think about that? And you kind of, you could ignore them if you want.
Right.
But
Probably
most
not
of
going to
them
stay.
are expecting to have some kind of a conversation with you. And so you have this live show that you're doing. And so you have some topics, because if there's nobody there or you'll get viewers who never chat. And if they're not there, not chatting, then you need to talk. You need to carry it as a monologue. You need to just be ready to talk. Talk about what you're doing, talk about what you're thinking, and just go. But you also need to be flexible enough to respond to whatever's happening in your chat. And sometimes it's really good conversation. It's somebody who's got something meaty that they want to talk about, and you're just right there with them. And sometimes it's a group of 14-year-old trolls from Scotland who are going to get on there.
Sounds like you're talking from
They
experience.
are going to make your life miserable. And I am talking from experience.
Funny thing is, I would be the 14-year-old troll back in my younger days that would do exactly that.
There are a fair number of people who this is what they do for fun, is they get onto Twitch and they try to
Troll people.
torture and troll a streamer.
Of course.
So you have to get good at dealing with that. But some days, a lot of those will show up. And now, how do you keep your show, if you're going to call it a show,
Right.
how do you keep your show on track when your chat is blowing up with 75 created fake accounts that are trolling you? And I would tell you what they call me, except I'm just worried it would get bleeped. It was...
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your phone is over here dinging because they're doing the same thing to you on Instagram. And so all of a sudden, you're getting 75 messages on Instagram.
So now
because
they're hammering you from everywhere.
from everywhere while you're on camera, while you're streaming. How are you going to deal with that? And
So if you're thin-skinned, don't get into.
I would say if you are thin skinned, don't go there.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard. They're
No,
gonna come, and you just gotta know that this happens to everybody.
right.
So it's not
It'll
you,
it'll pass in a
it's
couple of
them.
days once they find a new target.
The other thing that I used to think a lot about is that, when somebody shows up in your chat, all you have is a gamer name. You don't know. I don't know who that person is.
Right.
I don't know how old they are.
Right.
I don't know where they're from. I don't know what their cultural background is. I know nothing other than they showed up in the chat and they said something to me.
Right.
So
With
it
a
could
random
be
username.
with a random username.
Yep.
I love bananas. Okay. I love bananas is on here saying mean things. Well, you're supposed to be 12 to watch Twitch, but people lie. This could be an 8-year-old someplace who's trying out new words that they don't really know how to use. It could also be, like some much more adult, very creepy person
Right.
who would make me feel quite uncomfortable if I knew that, right? But you don't really know. So, because it was games and because I was gaming and because I was a day gamer, I like to game in the day. I don't want to game in the middle of the night. I kind of always assumed it was kids. And if you assume that the trolls are actually children, you deal with them in a different way than you do if you assume they're adults.
Adults. Yes.
And it's because, it takes a village to raise kids. Sometimes our villages are physical and they're local, geographic,
Sometimes.
but sometimes they're online.
Yes.
And I thought that I look like somebody's mom or somebody's grandma when I'm on Twitch. I don't look like I don't look like a 18-year-old. So if you're watching me, you know this already, and you came on to my stream, and if I mother you when you say mean things to me, that's
what
okay.
that's what you should expect.
That's what you should expect. So, I can't remember how we went down that path, but
I don't either.
we were on. But yes, dealing with the trolls is all kinds of fun,
I know.
and
So
you get better at it.
this is definitely not something. Well, first of all, financially, it's not for everyone. Like, you need to be in a situation where you don't need an income. You could do this as like a hobby. It'll pay for a pizza, once a month, whatever. But you also need to have it outlined just like you would outline any other entertainment show, whether it's daily, every other day, weekly. But I have a feeling that the most successful streamers out there are probably on an almost a daily basis, especially early on while they're building their audiences.
Yeah,
There can't be any other way to build this.
right. I think you have to be on there a lot of hours. When I was really putting my all into it, I was on 6 days a week, probably 4 hours a day. It's a lot. You have to put the time in. And then eventually you can pull back a little bit and just tell people what your schedule is,
Right.
but you're still going to be on 3, 4, 5 times a week. There's really, if you're going to trying to build an audience, they just don't show up if you're there once a week.
Right.
They want to watch when they want to watch, and if you're not there, they'll start watching somebody else, and all of a sudden they're following somebody else, and you've lost them. So
it's really the old. I mean, this is what TV stations dealt with for years. It's really no different. Like, every individual now streaming, whether it's gaming, whether it's YouTube, whatever it is really become a miniature version of what TV channels used to be, where they have to think of their programming, they have to think of their audience, they have to build those relationships where, I'm going to tune in to see my favorite gamer, or I'm going to tune in to see my favorite YouTuber.
right, I think that's absolutely true. And I used to see good spikes in viewership when something happened in the game. We had a new update, or there was a new skin released, or something.
Right.
Because people want to talk about it.
Right.
And when they want to talk about it, they'll engage with the people that they know and like and trust. So.
And know the game.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I take it you wouldn't recommend this as a full-time income for someone unless they are fully aware of what they're really getting into.
I think it can be successful for kind of two different kinds of people. One kind is if you already are at the top of your game, if you are winning global tournaments in your game, it will be very easy to build followers because people want to see the best playing. So you still have to think about your community, you still have to put some time in, but it's pretty easy to grab followers if you already have a name in the game. If you don't, and if you are not at the top of the game, if you're not winning global tournaments, if you are just kind of a pretty good gamer who likes to game, you have to think a lot more about the community building aspect, and are you willing to put in the time and effort and focus on creating like a special place for the people you want to hang out with,
To create your community.
create that community, yeah. And yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool. Thank you for coming in today. And we will be back next week with another episode of Crap No One Tells You.